Alright, YouTube. There's another quick how-to video. So, one of the and blast forum. One of the things I see on the forums a lot is my quad's not starting. What could it possibly be? Now, there are basically a bunch of contributing factors into why it's not starting. The main one, there really is, man. You kind of have to figure it out. But most of the time, it will be the carburetor being clogged. That only really happens if your bike sits for, I don't know, a few months and the gas inside there gets gunked up. So this is a how-to on how to fix all that, how to diagnose other problems, and how to prevent it. So first thing, what you want to do is you want to check to make sure you have gas. A lot of times people put their quads away, forget they have gas in it, or forget they don't have gas. And you can see right there, I have a lot of gas. It's like 3/4 away full. And it's just really frustrating, and then it's really humiliating after you find out. Another thing, sometimes carburetors will leak. So you shut the gas off right at the petcock, and your carburetor will leak down in there. So basically it drains itself, and then next time you go to start it, you forget to turn the petcock on, and you're kicking it a million times wondering why it's not starting. Yeah, so you just got to turn that on. Another thing that people overlook is sometimes their kill switches. Now, I'm only running 2 kill switches on this. I'm running the standard one right here and a tether. I disconnected the key because when I go to races and stuff like that, it sucks having a key with me all the time, and if I drop it and lose it, it's really hard. It's really annoying to try to get the wires apart and all that other stuff. So I just completely removed that. So I solely rely on this and the tether. What else? Also, on blasters before 03, there's something called the TORS unit, and the TORS stands for Throttle Override System. Basically, you have a couple wires coming out over here. You can see I clipped mine coming out of the brake. And also, that giant brick on the top of the carburetor right there, you would have a couple wires coming out of there. I also clipped mine. Goes up, these wires follow all the way up to the front of it here. And it's also called the brain of the bike. What the throttle over system does is basically nothing. It's supposed to, if your throttle cable gets stuck open, so if you're driving, throttle gets stuck open down there, and that returns to neutral position, it basically cuts off the spark and bogs your engine. The throttle override system causes more problems than it does any good. So if you have an 03 and lower, what you do is you go inside there, disconnect the actual TORS unit, or the brain as some people call it, and disconnect it. That's pretty much all you have to do. Some other things that people do to clean up the handlebars a little bit is to get rid of that and the brake, the parking brake. Also to clip those wires and clip the wires on top of the TORS. And what other people do is get the TORS removal, drill the hole out over there, right there, and it gets rid of the whole system. So if you have an 03 and lower and it's not starting, check the TORS. Disconnect it mainly from there in the brain. Still not starting, move on to the next step. Next step is basically check the air filter. A lot of times when bikes sit a lot, you open it up and you'll find a giant rat's nest in there or something that's not supposed to be in there. And you also clean the air filter. So take the air filter out, check and make sure it's clean and everything. If anything's not supposed to be in there, get it out. That's pretty much it for that. So I'm going to close this. Actually, the first thing you want to do is actually check gas. The second thing you want to do before the TORS is to check to see if you have spark. And the way you do that is come over here, get my handy dandy toolbox, get my handy dandy ratchet and my handy dandy spark plug socket, which is 21 mil. You connect the two handy dandies together. Set the handy dandy ratchet to reverse, which I can't do because it's broken. Take the spark plug off. Right there, take the cap off so you have the spark plug. Disconnect it. Or if you take it off, you don't disconnect it. Pull it out. And now, there's two indications on the spark plug. One, if it's wet. If you're kicking it and it's wet, that's a good sign. That means it annihilates the carburetor completely. It means that there's gas is getting to it, and all that is good. What you want to do for the spark plug, which you can see mine's not in the best condition, basically take your wire above here, connect it to again, like so. Make sure it's in there completely. You hold it up against the engine block like that. Make sure your kill switch is on, your key is on, and if you have a tether, you have your tether in. You go on your other side of the quad to where your kickstarter is. You pull out your kickstarter, and you look for spark. If you can see, there's spark. If you don't see spark, that's bad. If you don't see spark, I'll go over that. So basically, once you find that you're sparking and the gas is getting to it, you're pretty much golden. It should start. If not, you might be able to spray a little bit of a starting fluid in there just to get it a little kick. Usually what people do to that is spray it in the intake box or spray it in the top of the cylinder head. So if you take your spark plug out, find there's no gas on it and it's not wet, you go over to your carburetor, you take it out. There's two bolts right there, one right there, one right there. Take the fuel hose off and clean your carburetor out. The main things you have to clean are the main jet, the pilot jet, and the bowl. Those are usually the only things that get clogged. And yeah, so you clean those out, go back, and you just try to start it again. Hopefully gas will get to it and it'll start. So what you do if you have no spark at all, first thing you want to do is you check your kill switches again. Make sure they're on. If they're not, or if they are still not sparking, you want to go to your front. You want to disconnect everything in the front completely. On an 03 and lower, this works. I'm not sure about an 06 or an 03 and higher. You disconnect all the wires right here. Should look like something like that. And that'll ensure that you have no way of killing the engine. Try to see if it sparks then. If it sparks then you basically got narrowed down to the kill switch is bad, the key is bad, or the tether is bad. So you have to find which one it is, replace it. That's not really that hard. If you're still getting no spark, check your grounds. So right here you have the stator. You could take the stator cover off. Make sure none of the wires are frayed or anything like that. Follow the wires up. Make sure all the connections are good. There's some bullet connectors over here. Follows all the way up into the CDI and the voltage regulator. Make sure all those connections are good. Make sure your ground on the voltage regulator is good. And then lastly, for that is you have your coil, which is over here. I'm not sure. This is the ground for the coil, and I think also the stator. Make sure that is connected to the coil via the bolt. Make sure the connections are really good and everything like that. So you basically trace all the wiring done. Make sure all the connections are good. Make sure there's no frays, cuts, or anything like that. And it's kind of common sense. Also, so you check the electrical. All the electrical is working. You're getting spark. The gas is flowing into it. The spark plug is sparking. and it's still not starting. But then what you want to do is you want to first check your exhaust pipe. On a two-stroke, this matters a lot because if your exhaust pipe is non-existent, a lot of times your motor will fry and a bunch of other stuff. So make sure your exhaust pipe is sealed really well. Make sure it's not moving anywhere, it's not going to go anywhere. Once that's done, what you want to do is you want to take your carburetor off. You want to leak test it. I got my leak tester from Slicker Than You. It's right here. I would recommend his. It's really good. Leak test it. If it passes that, do a compression test. Oh, one thing with the leak test. When you do your leak test, stick a screwdriver or something in the top of the top where the piston goes, and put a little piece of duct tape on the bottom of it so you won't scratch the piston or anything. Push it all the way down to bottom dead center. So that way the leak test will go throughout the entire engine and be able to do its job. If you have the piston all the way at the top, sometimes you've got a false reading where the air enters the carburetor through the reeds and everything, through the reeds, and it hits the piston, and then it just seals off right there. So you want to make sure that's good. So do the compression test after you do the leak test. If that's good, you're just gonna keep following some of the stuff. Try starting fluid. Just look around, make sure the piston, if it passes the compression test, you could go inside your exhaust port. Make sure the piston skirt isn't broken or anything like that. And third and dairy, something that a lot of people don't check for some odd reason. I don't know why, but it's also the main reason why quads will sometimes, or especially two strokes, I don't know if it's on a four, where they're riding, you got the throttle pinned or so, and I go, whoa, install on them. Now, a lot of people think, oh crap, I just fried my piston, and you think about getting a new one and stuff like that, only to find out that the reeds are broken. Now the reeds are between here. You have your carburetor, your intake boot, or intake boot's back here, my bad, and then you have your reeds right here. I don't know if you can see it. And check the reeds, make sure they're broken, make sure they're sealed. They should be touching the reed cage, which is the metal cage in there. If they're not touching the cage, you need new reeds. You can't really bend them back or anything like that without having to worry about them. So if your engine stalls, can't figure out why, or won't start, check the reeds. On a two-stroke, like the Blaster engine, if it doesn't have reeds, it will not start. And you just waste your time. So make sure the reeds are good. If you've done all that, compression, leak test, electrical, carburetor, getting gas, sparking, reeds, if all that is good, it should start right up. If it's having trouble, you can pretty much take the carburetor apart, put a bigger jet inside of it. So I have a 310 in mine. I would put about a 320 or 330 in there just for to get it started. You could also take the intake boot off completely to get it started, so that way it has the best possible way to get air and fuel. And try a little starting fluid, a little bit. Don't bog it down with that. It should start right up. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, any concerns, yada yada, feel free to ask. Don't be scared. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, thanks for watching.